Natural Disaster Survival is a classic Roblox game where you just gotta survive natural disasters. Plenty of people have recreated the game in all sorts of ways, but I kinda just wanna make it in my own way and make it a sequel. The way that I'm gonna make it a sequel is basically by taking inspiration from the new Halo CE remake and just crank up the graphics as much as I can. And I'm gonna replace every single tree in the game with these trees, these super high quality trees, so that way it looks cooler, I guess. Alright, Natural Disaster Survival 2, here we go. Obviously, the first thing I need to do is make an actual lobby for the game. Natural Disaster Survival has a pretty good lobby. That's just this big circle thing in the sky. I always thought it looked like one of those airport towers, so that's probably going to be the main thing I take inspiration from. By the way, in order to get that footage of me in the airport radio tower thing, I played a game called Airport Simulator, and I actually paid 100 Robux to get into that tower. And I'm just now realizing that I could have pulled a model out of the toolbox and used that as an example. Well, so the first thing I did was open an empty base plate and get to work. When I was making this, I put a lot of effort into making it look as close to a radio tower as possible, and I just put so much effort into this, and this is how it looks. Yeah, it's not an airport tower, that's for sure. It has a ladder to get to the second floor, I guess. Yeah, it kind of just looks like a big metal Oreo in the sky. So I'm just gonna scrap the whole airport tower idea, and how about I do something a little different? What's something that is in the ocean and is a tower? An oil rig. There you go. That's what I made. It's an oil rig. Yeah, well, this is just the lobby. There's not much to it. There's inside here, there's some posters and stuff. It's pretty cozy in here, I guess. There's a ladder to go up here, and you could jump on these things if you want to permanently damage your lungs. A few minutes later, this is what the game looks like, and this right here is where the game is going to take place. Look at that, the water is moving. It's moving. Yeah, look at that. It has an animation and it looks pretty yeah, goodbye. The next thing I need to do was actually make a round system for sending the players into the game and stuff, so I just made a round system. And by made a round system, I mean I stole the round system from the fashion game I made a while back. It does everything that I need to do. It has an intermission, it sends you into the game, and that's it. That's pretty much all I needed to do. I just gotta turn this into an actual game, obviously. But at this point I was getting kinda bored, so I did what I usually do when I'm bored while game developing, and I listened to the Avatarless Airbender podcast. I know it's oddly specific, it's kind of just the only podcast I listen to. I guess if you have any podcast recommendations, feel free to comment, because this is the only podcast I actually listen to. And with that, I made my first map, Rodonald's. It's like McDonald's, but Roblox. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't spend too much time on it. I spent more time than I wanted to, but I still didn't spend that much time on it. It's got an interior with some super high quality, high definition, extra ultra HD textures. It's got some billboards that you can climb on top of if you want to get to the high ground. And some trees that are way too high quality, honestly. Like, just look at that detail. You could also climb on top of these to get to the high ground. The bushes are also very highly detailed. But in order to make the map not fall apart, I had to weld everything together, which was a very long and annoying process. And in the end, it looked like the human nervous system, but I mean, if it works, right? And after that, you get a really good destruction system with nice physics and stuff. Look at that. I wanted to make another map, so I decided to go back into the game, and the next map I see is the next map I make. Alright, the Roblox headquarters. That should not be too hard to make because I'm pretty sure it's a free model anyway. I just went to the toolbox, looked it up, and there you go, we got it in the game. Plus I found out that the actual map from Natural Disaster Survival is in the toolbox. I'm just gonna take some inspiration from this. I thought that this was gonna be pretty simple, just retexturing everything to make it look a little bit more realistic. But then I saw this. So I just gotta go through every single part in the entire building and just select them one at a time, changing their material. I retextured the entire Roblox logo, selecting every part one at a time, and by then I was already getting really tired of this. So I just selected the entire building and I changed it to glass. Honestly, it looks a lot better than I expected it to look. There are obviously a lot of things I gotta retexture by hand though. I definitely gotta retexture these bricks. And by the way, who did this? What is this inconsistency? Alright, it's finished. Look at that. And the interior also has some fancy new computers and the offices are way more detailed. Plus I made this ramp thing. It actually took a while because it's just a bunch of wedges, but yeah. And the physics are just as good as the original, being able to destroy absolutely everything on the building. Next I wanted to do something a little easier, so I did the classic happy home. I just dragged it into the game, and I retextured the stairs first of all. Now I just gotta select every single brick on the entire house and change it to this brick material. Alright, now that's one wall done. But I'm not gonna go too far into detail because this took me forever. So I'm gonna try and say this as quickly as I can. Walls, doors, carpet, cry in the corner, roof, and then I playtest the game to see how the physics work. Yeah, well, the entire house fell apart, which means I gotta go back and weld everything together by hand. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. I'm totally happy with that. Yeah, this is great. This footage is quite literally 20 times speed. I was so done at this point, and I just welded everything together as quickly as I could. I did an awful job. It is just awfully welded together. I don't even know what to say. Yeah. Eventually I did finish, just not very well at least. I bet that if the big bad wolf walked over, he'd be like, oh, well, it's bricks. I guess I can't blow it down. And then just his mere presence alone would be enough to make the house explode. Now for the most important part of the game, disasters. Because you can't have a natural disaster game without actual natural disasters. First I put this thing up in the sky, and when I run the game, random parts fall from the sky. This is also fully customizable, so I can make whatever I want fall from the sky. I can make rocks fall from the sky, noobs, and even M3 Stewards fall from the sky. I mean, as cool as it is to see a bunch of tanks fall from the sky, there's nothing natural about this disaster. So what I'm actually going to do is turn this into acid rain. But I mean, just dropping random parts from the sky doesn't look like acid rain. So I'm going to use Roblox's particle system, a great system for adding particles to Roblox. And look at that, it actually kind of looks like acid rain. I mean, I don't really know what acid rain looks like, but I would guess that this is what it looks like. And after a bit of scripting, it actually does damage, and when you hide under stuff, it doesn't damage you anymore. All the raindrops are physics-based, so you could technically dodge them, but there's just a lot of them. Right now, the acid rain unanchors objects, but that wouldn't really be useful for what I'm doing because most of my models are using welds instead of anchoring them. And this script took me way too long to make. This was at least 2 hours of work. And I know it is super messy and unorganized, and there's so much stuff that basically does nothing, and I'll just say everything that's wrong with it for you. You probably could
there's a better way to do this.
or something else for this. The ocean doesn't even have so long, right? But I still want to get rid of welds instead of just unanchoring stuff. And at this point, I'm getting really tired of writing this script, so I'm going to do something else. So I'm going to use ChatGPT. I am not the biggest fan of AI, I don't use ChatGPT that often, but this feels very necessary because I am so done writing this script. And look at that, it destroys welds and tears this place apart. It looks perfect. It might be a little overpowered, but honestly I'm just going to leave it that way. Let the players deal with it, they'll have fun. I played the game for a little while, and it's very hard to survive the acid rain, but it's good like that. I like a hard game. Then I made this to play ads on. It's because it was in natural disaster survival, no other reason. But honestly, it kind of looks nice like this, and I did some remodeling, put the posters over here, I actually lit up the room, and I put some little trees over here to make it look extra nice. The next disaster I'm going to make is lightning. I'm going to script this pretty similarly to the rain, so I'm just going to duplicate that and put it in the workspace again. I made 3 different lightning strikes, and these are going to be what I use to actually make it look like there is lightning. So when I playtest the game, a bunch of lightning strikes fall out of the sky and it creates this really crazy effect. But this really does not do anything, and it does not look like actual lightning. So I did some rescripting and I made it that these parts fall out of the sky, and when they hit the ground, they do a lightning strike. So that looks a lot more like actual lightning. And when I make the parts invisible, it just creates this really cool lightning effect that just looks like lightning. Then I found this documentation on explosions, then I implemented it into my script, and this was the result. Yeah, well, I obviously fixed that so that way you don't just die the second lightning strikes the base plate. But then I ran into a new problem, because when you playtest the game on actual Roblox instead of Roblox Studio, for some reason whenever you're playing the game on Rodonald's and it's lightning, it just lags. I think it has something to do with the way that I welded things. I don't really know how I'm supposed to fix this, but it does not lag at all on the Roblox headquarters, probably because of the way that it was welded together. So just hope that you get the Roblox headquarters, I guess, whenever it's lightning. 2 disasters, but it's time to add a new one. I'm gonna add a tsunami. The first thing I did was just get a simple tsunami model from the toolbox, and then I copied the texture from the ocean and put it all over the tsunami, so that way when you playtest the game, it has a cool water effect. Then I just scaled it up to make it big. Then I just push it across the entire ocean and add the scripts so that way it can move. When I playtest the game, this is what happens. I think it's that I had collisions on with the tsunami, so it just ends up turning into a wall. But if I turn off collisions, it can't actually push the house. So in order to fix that, I just use this to actually use math in order to fling the objects instead of physics. Maybe I should just lower this value a little bit so it's more survivable. You're welcome. By the way, if you're on the house map, you just gotta climb up this tree, and that's how you survive. And now there are 3 disasters, and I think that's the whole game. There you go. This is a full-on natural disaster survival game. It's great, but I'm just gonna add one more thing. The balloon. It's a game pass, you can buy it if you want. I don't really know why you'd spend Robux on this garbage game, but don't mind if I do. Goodbye.